I'm Nikia Nichelle, and this is the Just in Life podcast where entertainment, lifestyle, and inspiration come together. So be a part of the in crowd and join me along with a guest each week in this journey to entertain, enjoy, enlighten, and enhance ourselves just in life. Okay, so today's episode is all about enlightening and enhancing. We're going to be discussing, and let me tell you right now, if you have kids in the car, at home, or wherever you're listening to this podcast, put them bad babies up because it's going to get a little spicy.
Real spicy
Today, because we're going to talk about self-love, but we're also going to be talking about sexual wellness. My guest today is not only a trusted expert, but she is a dear friend. Everybody, please welcome Tyomi Morgan to the In Crowd community.
What's up, In Crowd? Hi.
Now, Tyomi is a sexual wellness coach who has made it her mission to provide sexual education to individuals as well as couples. So that is the reason why I decided to have you on today. Yes. I think our last conversation that we had, we did a Facebook Live together.
We did.
Do you remember it?
Vaguely.
No.
You know what? I remember the interview when we were at that one hotel and it was like a grass wall and it was real.
Yes.
Oh, it's breathing. But I do remember that we did an Instagram Live. Was it during the pandemic?
No, this was way before. Yeah, because I was doing my series of Women Crushing It Wednesday.
That's right.
And that's when I had you on because I'm a thorough advocate of you. I think that the work that you do is amazing. So we were just talking before we started recording this podcast about the good news.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could share. Can you share? Do you want to hold off?
I'm not going to share specifics, but what
Okay.
I will say is that with my sensual fitness program, the Cowgirl Workout, I have been really hitting it hard in the press and just like working on getting more exposure. So last year I had 2 TV features, one on sex sales on Fuse TV with Wheezy from Horrible Decisions, and then on Epix, Sex Life Season 3, Episode 1, What Women Want. So that was a big win. And so I rolled that into hiring a publicist for this year because up until this point in my career, all the podcasts, all the TV, all of the appearances that I've ever had I secured them. And so I was like, you know what? Let me hire somebody to help just push this through a little further to get some bigger outlets that I'm not reaching just organically. And so I did a session for the press, and we had about, I think, 9 press members that were there. 4 in person, and the other 5 had like a time commitment issue, and they got the recording of it. And so my publicist just wrote me and told me that we got a major interview for one of the top business publications in the world. So I'm super excited about that. I know they're going to like dig into my numbers a bit, but I'm not afraid of that because my numbers look really good as far as like how the brand has grown. It's one of my most successful products. And honestly, I would say one of my most impactful, and especially impactful for me as a coach, just to see how my clients evolve and grow, and to hear the success stories of the pleasure that they are experiencing from working with me. So that is like, I'm going to do a little cheers.
Cheers.
Clink, clink.
Yes, I got water.
Yes, clink.
I'm dropping papers over here. I do want, for those that don't know what the Cowgirl Workout is, I mean, a lot of people are familiar.
Of course, we're still growing.
You're still growing. So explain to those what the Cowgirl Workout is.
Yeah, so in 2014, so first of all, let me explain. I am a sexologist by trade. I started in the field of sexual health and wellness in 2011 when I started my sex education blog, glamorerotica101.com, and I also started a YouTube channel. And this was when YouTube was like first kind of getting started.
Right.
And I started putting up sex position tutorials because nobody was doing it, especially nobody black. And so every time I would put up woman on top positions or cowgirl positions, women from all over the world would be like, that's cool, but what do I do when I get up there?
Okay.
And so I kept getting the question. And I was like, let me make some tutorials. So I did some research and I figured out like the mechanics of the whole thing. And I made some tutorials and some women got it and were like, great, this helped me out a lot. And other women were like, still don't know what I'm doing. And so I thought about it and I was like, okay, how can I teach this? And I realized that I could not teach women how to ride or how to stroke back and be active in sex without strengthening their bodies and helping them build stamina. And also focusing on the problem areas like lower back pain, knee pain, stiff hips, you know what I mean? And so I was like, we have to work out. And I know y'all don't like working out, but I'm going to make it fun. I'm going to make it sexy. And it's going to be very pelvic heavy, like pelvic work heavy.
Okay.
Because we hold a lot of trauma in our pelvises and everything, right?
Yes.
And so I developed the Cowgirl Workout and I started touring with it in person in 2016. I literally toured coast to coast, East Coast, West Coast, North, South. I did it. And me and my friend drove across the entire country in a Buick.
Oh my God. I didn't know this.
Yes, we drove, we slept at the Grand Canyon on our way to California, which was pretty cool.
In the Buick?
Yes, in the Buick. We slept at the Grand Canyon.
Okay, so I'm the type of person that will wake up in the morning and have to go pee. What does that look like?
We peed right there. Like,
oh my goodness.
We peed at the Grand Canyon, you know? And it's funny because I have pictures of my stuffies. I travel with my little stuffed animals and they're like sitting at the Grand Canyon at sunrise, like watching. It's so cute. But so I started touring and I even went to London. My first year touring, we went over to London and Paris. And then from there, I just kept touring every year, more cities. I was getting requests. I even went all the way to Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, lovely.
Had a sold out event
and
there.
And you were showing them
Canada.
How to do some pelvic thrusts.
Listen.
Okay.
Shout out to my Naja babes. I love y'all. And I told them this in my class. I said, damn. Y'all kind of stiff.
Oh no!
I was like, y'all
not like, the Naja babes.
I'm very surprised. I was very surprised.
I'm shocked.
Y'all a little stiff now, but it was so fun, and to know that like my brand is so successful and widespread that I could go to Nigeria, have a sold out class, and book a press tour for myself and a TV show.
Look at you.
And radio, like who's doing that? So the Cowgirl Workout is a holistic fitness program that I created for women and people with vaginas to learn how to ride better and to have a deeper connection with their bodies. And so it's a fun way to work out. And the pandemic now, the pandemic said, you got to pause. I did 7 cities. I did the entire East Coast, Atlanta, and Chicago before the pandemic shut me down from touring in person. And I was literally, the day the world shut down, March 16th, 2020, I had a flight to Nairobi, Kenya. And we had 70 participants who were waiting for me to come there. And I literally cried for like 3 days.
Oh.
Because I was like, first of all, this was like my money maker. Secondly, what am I going to do?
Right. What did you do?
God said, go online.
Okay.
So we went online, and then I eventually, shout out to Nicole Kane of XO Nicole, because she put me on to Mighty Networks, and that changed the game for me. So I built the Cowgirl Workout Tribe on Mighty Networks, and so we're 3 years strong now, and I supported so many women through the pandemic, and some of those women are still with me, and we have people coming in and out of the program all the time from all over the world. But honestly, like I said, this is like my most successful product, and eventually I'm going to train other people to become Cowgirl certified so that they can teach the women in their communities how to do this workout so that they can not only feel more pleasure, but just feel better about themselves and walk throughout life with more confidence and more stamina too, because you're like, it'll change the way you breathe and everything. So
yeah, if
you guys are really interested in knowing more about what the tribe has to offer, go to thecowgirlworkout.com or members.thecowgirlworkout.com. And I promise you, if you put the Cowgirl Workout in Google, you will find us. Because like I said, we got features.
Because you are certified and it's your idea. Mm-hmm. I was... I follow you, of course, on social media, and I had saw, some people was trying to snag you and say, girl,
let me tell you what pissed me off about that, right? It's because I seen this woman. I saw her. Mm-hmm. I saw her the whole time. I saw her before she started promoting her stuff on the blog sites and going viral, right? And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, whatever, because I'm not. So there are dick riding classes out there, right? But I always say I don't have a dick riding class. I have a fitness program.
Okay.
And my fitness program has many different like caveats to it or aspects to it, different forms. So it's not just one thing. And what blew me was like, I was like, wow, the whole format, how she dressed, the style of teaching and everything, but not teaching my technique. Because see, if women are saying, my knees, they are crunchy, then why are we spending
not crunchy
why are we spending so much time on our knees, you know?
Yes.
And so I have developed a program where we can use a chair, we can use a fitness ball to learn how to ride without having to be on our knees. And we get on our knees, but we're not spending 45 minutes to an hour down there, right?
Okay.
And my program has developed over time. And as I learn more about the pelvic floor and as I learn more about fitness, because I have a background in fitness and dance. So, but the more that I learn, the more certifications I get, then I incorporate that into my workout. But what pissed me off the most was the fact that like, I came out and said that like, I was the first person that really popularized this thing. Mm-hmm. And see, it was my fans and my followers that literally were tagging me and saying, no, Tyomi did it first. Like, it wasn't even me saying it. So then when I came out and said I was the first, acknowledge me, then there were some people who were trying to attack me.
What?
Saying like, oh, it's room for everybody to eat. I didn't say that. All I said was I stood up and I popped my shit.
Right.
I don't pop my shit enough. I've been doing this for 12 years and I've been in spaces and I've done things that I've forgotten that I've done, but I've been doing big shit in my space. And nobody was touring with a dick riding class before I was. Trust, I saw it. Mm-hmm. And not at the level that I'm traveling and doing it. So I was like, wow. And then there were some people who literally were like, well, you know, I've been following you for a long time and I just don't like how you're talking about this and I'm going to unfollow you. Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Because I'm not doing anything wrong by taking up for myself and just putting the facts out there. I popularized this. I'm not saying I'm the only one, and I'm not saying that I'm going to be the only one. But let's just see whose program is left standing in the next 5 years.
Well, I believe in you.
I'm playing a bigger game. And it's not just a cash grab for me. For a lot of these programs that have popped up, it's a cash grab. And also, I have a background in sexology as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not just fitness and sexology, and also some spiritual stuff in there too, because I work in people's energy body.
That's right? I've always loved you about is spirituality. And I feel like we kind of connected in that way.
We did.
In so many other ways too, you know. We're both tall.
Yep. Look, the kid thinks that we're the same height. She is 5'11".
We are the same damn height.
I want to be her height. But, you know, she's a half inch taller than me.
Oh, no.
She don't want to be 5'11". I'll take that. You could take 5'10" and a half.
No. But, you know, that and then our skin complexion is dark and lovely.
Yes.
And I just have always just been drawn towards you. Plus, aren't you're a Sagittarius or you're a Scorpio?
I'm a Scorpio.
That's why. He's a Scorpio. You're a Scorpio.
Hey. And you're a Virgo.
I'm a Virgo.
And me and Virgo is like best of friends.
That's what I know.
This is what I know. Like this, like for life.
This is what I know.
Yes.
I always am. I already know. So, but
you got the perfect match. Oh, I'm just waiting on man. You know what I'm saying?
It's coming. It's a coming. Mm-hmm. But I do want to talk about being, you know, a sexual wellness coach and you doing your cowgirl. Come on, we can do it. I can say it, y'all. Cow, bow, wow. Your cowgirl, you know, classes, there is some taboo still in 2023, girl, 2023, that you are still having to deal with. And when it comes to sexuality, self-love, and all the things. So how do you break down those barriers with those, you know, with the taboo still being in place and being able to get on these huge outlets and being welcome into, you know, teaching classes in different countries?
First and foremost, it's about having business acumen, right? Mm-hmm. Understanding how to market yourself and how to pivot as well. So right? I've been through the fire in my career where I've had my PayPal shut down, Stripe shut down, rejected from MailChimp, rejected from Constant Contact, rejected from so many platforms because of my content being sexual content, even though I'm just teaching classes. I'm not like, doing porn or anything like that. And so I had the smarts to say, I need to focus my program in being more of a fitness-based program versus calling it a dick riding class.
Okay.
Because like we have a feature in Cosmo, we have a feature in Hype Bay, we have something coming out in like a Wales publication on Friday, and so they want to write about riding dick, but if it's too raunchy and it's like too much, they're not going to pick it up, even for TV.
That's the thing that I just don't.
Advertisers. Advertisers are extremely conservative. So like my YouTube channel has been demonetized for years. That's why I stopped producing content for YouTube, because I'm not making money there. So I was like, well, I'll return to YouTube once it makes sense for me and I can use it as a funnel. But right now, YouTube's not paying me, so I'm not putting so much effort into YouTube. So advertisers are the ones that really determine what content gets put up. Like right now, I'm working on a deal with a production company out in California. They are a Black-owned production company, and I talked to one of the co-owners, and he went and he looked at my content, right? And I told him, I said, I think I'm going to have to create new content for you guys because this content may not be suitable for all your advertisers. And then he came back literally and texted me yesterday and was like, you were right. So we need to like strategize. I said, exactly. So I'm ready to sit down at the table with you. I already have some ideas. We can brainstorm and we can get this together, because their demographic is my demographic, Black women. And I'm unapologetic about saying I'm here for everybody Black, and also saying if you resonate with my voice and you're not Black, you're welcome too. But just know, like, I'm Black and I'm here for my sisters, right? So knowing that advertisers are looking for things to be packaged a certain way, you have to have flexibility. You have to be willing to say, okay, I'm willing to bend here. Not compromise, but I'm willing to bend and shape and shift things in a way where A, I'm still maintaining my integrity and the integrity of my product, and B, I'm still conveying what it is that I want to convey as far as the impact that I want to have and the messaging. And so I've been able to be on the Doctors and Epics and all these TV shows because I know how to do that. I know how to placate to a commercial audience and advertisers, even like in how I dress, like going on certain shows. Like when I did the Jam here in Chicago, I had to like wear stuff that was covered, like when you got big titties, they just be tittying.
I be trying to tell folks
they just be tittying. Like you wearing a camisole and it's not like you trying to show boobs, but that's just what happens. They just be tittying.
And this is where they're at, and that's where they're gonna stay. You know what I mean?
What, you want me to do a crew neck? Like, this shit's ugly, but
it's so ugly. I cannot help it. I tell people that, like, look now, come on, But I want to delve a little deeper about the taboo and how that affects women from exploring their own sexual pleasure. I feel that once the taboo comes in on the commercial side, and it of course affects your business, but I think that it is also a societal thing.
Oh yeah. For sure.
That we need to get over, because a lot of women are missing out.
It's so hard because we're battling against centuries of patriarchy and misogyny, right? And a lot of it is deeply ingrained into the mindsets of people and also deeply entrenched into pop culture. And so with that, it makes it difficult. Oh, and then let's not even talk about religion. Like there's like 8 primary sources of programming, and I've coined this as the 8 P's of programming. You got your parents, your peers, popes, pastors, parishioners, publications, pornography, professionals, pop culture, and porn. Right?
Girl, you got them all. The PPPs.
Yeah, the PPPs, And so when you think about those 8 sources, and then you also include in your personal experience, right? That's informed by all of that. It makes it difficult to break out of certain ideas, because if you have your parents saying, "Well, this is what it is," and then your peers, your parents and peers are the most influential sources. So if your peers are saying, "Oh, well," giving you advice and saying this and that, and they are loud and wrong, you're still going to believe your friends over your parents or even like your pope or your pastor because they are the closest to you and they have the most influence. And then pop culture influences everything. Like I just did a live about this last night, speaking about painful sex and how like we hear it in pop and we hear it in R&B.
To break your back.
Oh my God, especially in rap.
Break your back, go up, all, big penises going all the way. And it honestly ruins your, help me out here, girl. What, your what? Yeah, I mean, the inside, shit. People have gone to the hospital.
Yeah, so if sex is performed in a way that is a little too rough, and you're consistently pressing upon the cervix, sometimes you can tilt. You can tilt the uterus.
I know.
People have, and that we don't talk about that enough. And so there's like a great amount of ignorance that still surrounds sexual health and sexuality because of politics as well. That's the ninth P is politics.
There's so many P's.
There is. Because look at Roe versus Wade being overturned, right? And now I read a headline that said that abortion pills may be completely illegal, right? I got to go read up about that. But politics informs the policies that on the federal level, they say, hey, when it comes to sex education, it's up to the states. And then the politics of each state says, well, it's up to the districts for these schools. And then the PTA is like, well, we don't want our kids learning about gender.
And they're saying it just like that, huh?
We don't want gender being pushed on our children. We don't so then we have a society of people that are completely blind.
Right.
They have sexual urges and desires, or they have certain opinions about sex where some people may be asexual, right? But they don't understand what that is because there isn't a comprehensive sex education program in their schools teaching them this. And it's so bad to the point where people don't even know the organs. Like I was watching
that is what
Real Housewives of Potomac.
I was watching Netflix and there's this show, I can't think of it right now, where they were talking about like a lot, even women. Like, I mean, we don't know our own organs
at all. Like Real Housewives of Potomac. Giselle was talking to her daughters about how she has to have a hysterectomy, right? And these girls were like teenage girls. And when she told her daughters, I have to have my uterus removed, one of the girls said, how are you going to pee? Girl, what? And her sisters were like, what?
How old was she? Please.
They're like 7. No. They're like 16, 17. Like they are.
They should know.
Teenagers. And like Giselle in her like aside interview was like, what are they teaching them in school? But at the same time, I was like, but what are you teaching them?
At home.
At home.
Yeah.
Because clearly you've never had the conversation with them if they don't know the difference between a uterus and a urethra. Lord, Jesus is far. Like, so we have a problem. And this is not just in the United States, it's worldwide.
No, yeah.
Sex education is in a deplorable state and we're advancing in technology, but we're not advancing in just certain like basic human civilities. Like it's very weird, very odd to me. But at the same time, what I understand is that if you can control people's sexuality, you also control their creativity and you have control over them in general. So if people don't understand the power and the magic of orgasms and how to get there and how you can use that to manifest and like also like heal yourself, they don't want us to be healthy. They don't want us to have natural sources to cure ourselves. They would rather us be fucked up and traumatized. I hope I can say that word on this podcast. But they would
we'll mark it explicit. I mean,
okay, sorry. So, but they do want us to stay that way because it's big money in that. In big pharma, it's getting kind of deep, but it has to go there because that's where it's at. Because sexual health extends beyond just orgasms and pleasure. It's also your reproductive organ health. Right? For penis owners and vagina owners. And especially for vagina owners, like it's imperative that we pay attention to our health because our organs are internal.
Yes.
Like for penis owners, everything's on the outside. You can see it except for the prostate.
Right.
The prostate, It's another story. You got to get that checked out. And a lot of them are afraid to because there's like internalized homophobia around having things up their booty.
Yeah.
Anyway, not even going to go there. But specifically for vagina owners, like we don't see our ovaries. We don't see our tubes. We don't see our uteruses. The only time we're really connected with it is when we have a menstrual,
child.
right?
Or a child.
Right. Or
yeah.
a child. But even, girl.
Yeah. No.
Even then.
I know.
Because I know women who have had children and they're so disconnected from their bodies and they still don't even understand the functioning. And I'm like, girl, you have 4 kids popping out and you still don't know your parts. This is wild. So it's a lot. It's very layered. And so people like myself who work in this space, we're literally fighting against censorship on social media, censorship in media, and then the changing algorithms that happen consistently. We were just talking about that. Every year in Q1, that is the fear. It's like, okay,
where's it going now?
Where's it going now? And you have to pivot and shift so much. And so
sometimes in the beginning of Q1, I just lay low.
Bruh, yeah.
That's the best thing to do to see where it shifts to and then get back on track.
I literally have been laying low for the first, for a little bit, just posting here and there. And then I see this heavy drop.
And you're like, good Lord, what's going on?
I was only gone for like a few days.
I want to talk, though, to women specifically, or, maybe even to, like you said, vagina owners, penis owners. You said the magic of, the orgasm and how that really helps with self altogether, right?
It does.
So let's go a little bit down in that rabbit hole, because I know it's pretty long.
It is.
But I don't want to have you too long, because you pay for parking, first of all.
I almost forgot to pay for parking. Well,
but I do want to give some helpful, information of why and what are those what does it look like for women that are like, okay, how can I be a part of this journey of exploring not only the importance, but what does that look like for them? What's some steps that they can take towards that?
Well, I'm just first going to say, like, when it comes to orgasms, I always say it's like a reset button for the body, because there's so many chemicals that are released into the bloodstream: adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, acetaminophen, like antihistamines. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes. You
can tonight
have an orgasm and your headache will just poof, it will dissipate. You have the best sleep ever. And so that's where the magic lies. But not only in the orgasm, but in the journey towards it. Because with arousal comes all of these releases as well. The orgasm is really just a release of the energy that's been built up, right? But as you go throughout the sexual process, whether it's solo or with a partner, those chemicals are being released in the body. And so for women or vagina owners who feel disconnected from their bodies, that's where you start. It's asking yourself the question of, when did this start? Right?
Okay.
Right now, what I love is that we are in a time where people are focused a lot more on going to therapy, and people are more willing to call out trauma. And so you have to be willing to face the demons, right?
So you're saying there could have been some sexual trauma, start exploring what that is and how to heal from that first?
It could be sexual trauma. It could just be trauma in general, like
trusting.
Exactly. So
your partner or...
Because it might not be something that was a physical trauma, but it could be an emotional trauma.
Right.
Where maybe a desire or a request was denied, or maybe their body was shamed. Or when you think about, again, pop culture and how much we consume, if you're consuming so much content that's relaying this idea to you that your body is not accepted or okay, then you internalize that, and now you don't think that you're sexy, you don't feel sexy, you're not embodied. Right? So trauma can come in a multitude of ways. People think that sexual trauma is only like a rape or like a violation, right? Or a violation of your physical person, right? But it could literally be an overstepping of boundaries, like as simple as like someone touching you in a way that you didn't want, or kissing you before you ask, or even bringing up the conversation or sexualizing your body in a way or fetishizing your body in a way that is unwelcomed. And so it starts here first. The brain, outside, because there's this whole debate like, well, the skin is the largest organ. It's the largest sex organ. It's like, okay, but the brain's the epicenter, right? So the brain, the brain, and then you have the mind. The mind or your consciousness is impacted by everything that we see and experience, right? And so if the only thing that you're receiving is this messaging that it's not okay, you're not in control of your body, especially as a black woman, we are sexualized and we are fetishized, but yet we are told that it is not okay for us to be expressive in our sexuality. And then when we do, what are we labeled as? Hoes and thoughts, hot girl, city girl, fast, right? Mannish, whatever.
Right. Mannish.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, no, for real.
And so it starts there, asking yourself, what is the programming that's holding me back from truly feeling the pleasure that I desire?
Right.
And when I say pleasure, yes, we're talking sexual pleasure, but just also sensual pleasure, how you experience the world through your five senses, and emotional and spiritual pleasure. Because there are some people who don't know how to receive a compliment or a positive affirmation because they don't think they deserve it. And somewhere along their journey, they were told something or they heard something that they internalized and it was a lie, and they decided to believe that lie and attach it to who they are. And that has informed every single last experience that they have had up until the point where they realize that something is wrong. So they have to literally go back in their consciousness and in their memory and figure out, when was the initial time that this lie was told to me, and then who said it?
Yeah.
So you can send it back and then choose what you want to believe. So it's work. It's
work.
what's called shadow work.
It is work. So it's not, and I love, this is why I love talking to you, because, I love that you not only are breaking down this misconception that it's just about teaching you how to, suck a penis. It's not that.
It's not, no.
It's not that. It is so much deeper and so much other healing, because, take me, for example. I know when my weight is up.
Yeah.
That is a thing that affects my not only self-love, self-confidence, but even sexual desire, and so that is all part of it. That's all
so common.
It's a
so
huge common thing.
And I experienced that too.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that, this is something that you may also experience where you're talking to couples and the woman had a baby and her weight is up and trying to have sex after that.
And the hormones.
And the hormone, all the things. And,
so much.
And I think that, these are lessons that need to be taught. And we have never been able to have a candid conversation about them. Yep. And so every time I can get you, I want to have that candid conversation. And so when I launched this podcast, I was like, you know what? She is the perfect person. Oh God, I hope nobody can hear that.
But we could hold.
We're holding because sirens. We're in Chicago. Please be mindful. But I always feel like these are conversations that need to be had, and I want to have them. And so when I launched the podcast, I was like, I know exactly who I need to ring a ding ding,
ding dong,
and get on here. So that goes into, the next pillar of what I wanted to talk about, and the importance of sex or self-love in order to have really good sexual wellness. And where does one, I don't want to say where does one start, but just one advice for someone that maybe not in the best place when it comes to self-love, and how we can get there. And then also too, how it enhances your sexual experience, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I would say get a coach. Or, a therapist. Because sometimes, like, the lack of self-love, again, comes from, like, a mental blockage, something that, again, was believed and integrated into a person's, like, personality. And so you're going to need a professional to help you sort out your thoughts, right? And to give you tools to be able to do that. And self-love looks like boundary setting as well, right? And also putting rituals and things in place that are going to help you to enrich your self-awareness and also your self-concept, how you view yourself, right? And how you physically show up. And so you can always tell when somebody's having like a self-love challenge when they're physically not put together, or like they're scatterbrained, they're kind of all over the place. And so when you get it together, when you have somebody helping you, that not only helps you to like tap in more into all of life's pleasures, but then you become a little more curious about your body and then start to connect with it. And a coach can guide you through that process, because without a coach, you're looking at it like a big ball of yarn that you're trying to unravel.
And you can't.
And you can't do that by yourself. And so the enhancement of sex comes in when you have that connection, and then you know what options are available to you. Because it's going to start with like self-pleasure first. Because I work with a lot of women who are single. They're either divorcees or they're like single women who've been celibate for a little while. And a lot of them are in my programs because they're like, well, I want to be ready for the next, right? But then I always remind them, like, even if there is never a next, there is always you. You are your partner first. And so if you're not exploring yourself, if you're not giving yourself the pleasure that you desire in every aspect, then how can you expect to show up for yourself sexually? If you're just like scoffing down food because you come from an environment where you were in survival and you just had to eat whatever would fill your belly, right? But you're not actually taking in the flavors and savoring the food, how will you expect to savor sex?
Right. I love that analogy. It just threw me off, but no, it's true.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't think about how that kind of stuff has an impact. Financial stability, home stability, right? Even level of education and just like access to information. Most of us have smartphones, but a lot of people are not savvy enough to go and look for the information and fact check and find it, right? I get people who are like, I stumbled upon your content because they went down some kind of rabbit hole or they saw a picture of me and it just led them in, right? And I'm grateful for that. But there's still a huge majority of people in this world who are just completely unaware of the fact that there are sex coaches and sexologists and people who can help them with their sex lives and sex therapists. So this is deep work. And I think that a lot of people would prefer to do the dick sucking classes and, you know, the riding classes and all the mechanical fun stuff in sex, because they want to glaze over and keep putting band-aids on the big gaping wounds that are the traumas that they have not addressed. And people who don't think that the stuff that we previously mentioned around like financial stability and housing stability and coming from like poverty, they don't think that it has an impact on how they experience pleasure, but it does.
Right.
When you're in survival mode, you can't really experience pleasure.
Right.
Because you're in fight or flight all the time.
Right.
You have to be in rest and digest in order to really receive pleasure.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know I've kept you a while.
I ain't gonna
I don't have my watch on either, but I just feel like I have, because I could talk to you for so long.
Girl, I feel like we just been talking for like 30 minutes.
Right. So, but I do, before you go, have just one more thing I gotta get out.
Yeah.
You know, maybe two. I'm going to give her two.
I was like,
two more things. Two more things, guys. Please, just hang on, okay? Because I got so many questions, but
look, they're hanging on. They're still here.
I'm trying to make, give them the meat and potatoes. So one of the things is, I have come across people, and when I'm looking at your page and looking on social media, and I've come across some people, and not everybody, but, some naysayers that'll be like, oh, she's doing too much. She's showing too much. and she's exposing herself. And then that message gets lost in its translation, possibly, because they can't get over the aesthetic of it all.
Right.
How do you still, do your due diligence and continue pressing forward, even though that there's still those people that feel like, because I feel like it's a little bit of judgment too.
It is. It's a projection. And
Yeah.
really what they're saying is, I wish that I could be like that, and I don't know how. And I'm afraid of what this is reflecting back to me. And so instead of saying that, then they place a judgment and say, oh, this is too much. No, I'm definitely not too much. I'm showing up exactly as I am and exactly as how I'm supposed to be. And what's happening right now in you is what's supposed to happen. I am activating you to help you to realize that there is something that needs to be addressed. But you don't know that. It's popping up as jealousy. It's popping up as irritation. It's popping up as feeling uncomfortable. But that's what trauma does. It's going to feel irritating and uncomfortable because it doesn't belong. And so with me knowing that, I keep pressing for it, because if you've been activated, that's my job. Right. I'm on purpose.
Right.
So if I'm living my life out loud and I'm displaying so what I am displaying is what it could look like if you are an aware and embodied sex goddess. This is like top level. It's like big boss level, right? That's me.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So this is what it could look like to be that. This is what life could look like. This is what success could look like, at this level. But then there's everything in between. And you could fall anywhere in that, and even be up at that level if you want to. And that scares some people. And I'm okay with that. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, Right. I don't like English breakfast tea, so I might be English breakfast to somebody, and that's okay.
I always say that. You may not like what I'm saying, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. But I think that those that do embrace it, they see it for the educational purpose that it is, and you have testimony of how it's been effective.
Man, like the testimonies, not just from women, but from men too. And the male testimonies are the ones that like touch me in a whole different space, because men are a little resistant to being taught. You know what I've heard before is like, you don't got a penis, how you gonna tell me? I'm like, I don't need.
I have a vagina.
I have
that
a clit.
Penis goes in there, and I know what I
have a clit. It's the same thing, just formed differently. Okay.
Okay.
It's the same thing, same tissues and everything. However, I don't need to have external genitalia to tell you and to teach you and provide you with tools to help you have deeper, more passionate lovemaking with whoever you choose to have it with, and to love yourself more. I'm a master at that. Like, I only teach what I know, and I teach what I have experienced. So I'm not just out here pulling stuff out of my butt,
I hope not. Maybe in a sexual way.
Right. Maybe some anal beads, but not, not like information.
Right.
I am well educated, and I continue to read up on things all the time. And so, naysayers gonna do what they do. Trolls gonna troll. And on Twitter specifically, I love, when I have time, I love meeting a troll with wit and education and humor. And what I find most of the time, if it's not a bot or somebody who was just completely unreasonable, is that all they want is to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
And they want to be a part of the conversation. And this is why I express compassion.
Well, I've seen you check some folks too.
I check people,
especially one that was saying, I think one had said you had daddy issues or something like that. Like, her dad is very present. So that's not even what it is.
I laugh so hard because that's the one thing that people want to say when a woman, because they never say this about men in sex work, right? When a woman decides to go into sex work, all of a sudden now she has daddy issues. Well, the gagas, my dad was the one to encourage me to go into being a sex writer, because he was like this. When I brought the idea to him, he was like, yeah, baby, that's good. You're needed. Go forth and prosper. And he checks up on my work, and he's always encouraging me. And he's always reminding me that I am the CEO of my organization, that nobody else controls it but me, right? And if I'm off my square, he'll be like, call me up. What's wrong with you? You off your square. What's going on? And give me a whole talk. See, my dad is a feminist, okay? He's lived in a house for these many years
with a whole bunch of women,
with 3 women
yes.
who are his heart.
You're right.
And my dad always says this, and I quote, like, anybody have a problem with what you do, you can tell them, kiss my right butt cheek and the left butt cheek, respectfully. Okay? His, not mine.
Right.
So he was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You are an essential part of society. And I can say, toot my own horn, that I have influenced a generation of folk. I have people every day that are like, I watched you in college. And now they're like in their mid to late 20s, you know? Which means that I have informed their experience. I have brought people together who have had babies because I connected them through my Matchmaker Mondays on Snapchat. People who are engaged now to be married because of that. People who have found best friends. So I don't care about what people think because of their limited perception. My dad is my biggest cheerleader and loves me dearly. And we check in all the time. The only issue I have is not seeing him even more. He works a lot. I work a lot. That's the only issue I got with my dad.
Right. So check. Okay.
Check.
We don't want to hear nothing about no daddy issues. Tyomi, I can talk to you forever, girl, but I know you have to go. And before we sign off, though, please let everyone know where they can find you. So if they want to get coaching done by you or do some ride a cowgirl classes.
So if you want to take the Cowgirl Workout, it starts at $24.99 a month. There's also an annual option and a VIP option. All you have to do is go to members.thecowgirlworkout.com or thecowgirlworkout.com and meet me there. And if you want to follow me on social media, where you can find all of my links and also my conversations and free advice, it's at Real Glamazon Tyomi on Instagram and Glamazon Tyomi on Twitter. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Glamoratica101 and my blog site, Glamoratica101.com. You can reach out to me on my website, sexperttyomi.com, which is my coaching site. I got a lot of sites, y'all.
I know.
thepleasureacademy.com. And if you are sincere about becoming a one-to-one client, sincere inquiries only, you can email me directly at Tyomi, Tyomi, at TyomiMorgan.com. And if you forget anything, just put my name in Google.
That's it.
Tyomi Morgan in Google, and you will find all kinds of information on me.
And I'll put the links in the show description so you guys have at least one link. And then once you have one link, it'll link you all to the rest. Exactly.
Exactly.
So we'll put that in the show description for you guys to be able to see about those classes or coaching or whatever, all the things, and just follow her in her advice. So thank you again, Tyomi.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we hope to have you back.
I
think this is going to be one of many shows, but I feel like this was a great, candid conversation that a lot of people needed. And I want to say a special thank you to all you lovely listeners for tuning in. Remember, romantic relationships are not just about, you. It's about loving yourself. It's a reminder to love and appreciate yourself. It starts with you. Have a love with you. Be romantic with you. Okay? And when we love ourselves, we can create healthier, more fulfilling relationships with others. I think it starts there.
Yes.
We're healthy with ourselves. If you haven't already, though, you guys, please join the Just in Life community, aka the In Crowd on social media. This is where we're trying to create a community where we discuss this episode and every other episode and lifestyle and entertainment and all the things to enhance ourselves just in life. Thanks for listening.